our hands shall be the harder, and our will shall be the wiser, and our hearts shall be bolder as our strength must end. Come and follow me to glory, so that when they tell the story, we shall not be forgotten in the halls of men.
A recruiting sergeant came away from an inn near town at the close of day. He said, "My Johnny, you're a fine young man. Would you like to march along behind a military band with a scarlet coat and a fine cocked hat and a musket at your shoulder?" A shilling he took and he kissed the book. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? The recruiting sergeant marched away from the inn near town at the break of day. Johnny came to with half a ring. He was off to be a soldier to go fighting for the king in a far-off war in a far-off land to face the foreign soldier. But how will you fare when there's lead in the air? Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? Well, the sun rose high on a barren land where the thin red line made a military stand. There was slingshot, chain shot, grape shot too, swords and bayonets thrusting through. Poor Johnny fell, but the day was won, and the king is grateful to ya. But your soldier is done and they're sending you home. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? They said he was a hero and not to grieve, for the two ruined legs and the empty sleeve took him home, and they set him down with a military pension and a medal from the crown. But you haven't an arm, you haven't a leg, the enemy nearly slew ya. You'd have to go out in the streets and beg. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? A recruiting sergeant came away from the inn near town at the close of day. He said, "My Johnny, you're a fine young man. Would you like to march along behind a military band with a scarlet coat and a fine cocked hat and a musket at your shoulder?" The shilling he took and he kissed the book. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? Oh, Polly, love, oh, Polly, the rout has now begun, and we must go a-marching to the beating of a drum. Come dress yourself all in your best and come along with me. I'll take you to the cruel wars in High Germany. Oh, Harry, dearest Harry, mind well what I do say. My feet, they are so tender, and I cannot march away. Besides, my dearest Harry, I am with child by thee, not fitted for the cruel wars in High Germany. I'll buy you a horse, my love, and on it you shall ride, and all of my delight shall be walking at your side. We'll stop at every alehouse and drink when we are dry, being true to one another, get married by and by. Oh, cursed be the cruel wars that ever they should rise, and out of merry England press many a man likewise. They took her Harry from her, likewise her brothers three, and sent them to the cruel wars in High Germany.
The fairest flower of chivalry to bloom in all the land, and the noblest of all the knights of Charlemagne was Roland, King Charles' sister's son, renowned through all the Frankish lands. Battles you have won, in council here you can learn, make plea to go to war, to aid the rebel Saracens against the rightful lords. Roland, you call this place maid, but nonetheless Charlemagne agreed to send the maid. The gallows was for you the post most perilous, and willingly do you accept its honor things you must. Roland, the rear guard victory, with your loyal Oliver fight at your right hand. At the Vale of Roncevaux, your doom is now anigh, for the Saracen do hold the path, will not let you by. Roland, you know now you're betrayed, but in your heart is courage, and your voice is not dismayed. Face you now, grim battle, take your swords and raise them high. With honor we have lived our lives, with honor we shall die. Roland, sound your merry horn, and try to call the men back that brought out just yestermorn. The king has heard you from afar, but Ganelon says nay. 'Tis only high and rolling, hunting on this day. Roll and sound your horn again. Meanwhile the battle rages in the valley and the glen. Again the king has heard it call, again the traitor lies, and none will come to aid you for your peril he denies. Roll and sound your horn blast, as one by one your men at arms lie fighting in the pass. And last of all is Oliver by swordsmen overthrown, and you of all the Frankish knights must stand alone. Roll and oh black day you die. Your foemen ringed about you and your sword beneath your side. They find you on a hilltop with your face turned to the foe, and never has there been a day of such great woe. Roll and your name will live in song, whenever brave men take up arms to right a grievous wrong. The facts flower of chivalry, the bloom and novel man, and the noblest of all the knights of Charlemagne.
Jävla briotur! Hela röster!
Zu jener Stunde, als sie mir erschienen, da stand der Himmel still und blau. Und durch das dämmernfahle Licht umschrieben ihr Haupt, geschmückt von Meerestau. Weiß wie der Mond waren die Feenanglieder, ihr Haar war wie von Gold gemacht. Und mir ward bang, die Stunde Ende wieder im Lauf der sternenklaren Nacht. Ihre Schönheit weht durch alle Zeiten, ihr roter Mund wird mich ewig begleiten. Ihre Schönheit weht durch alle Zeiten, ihr roter Mund wird mich ewig begleiten. Verschwand im Morgengrau. Ich muss nun mit den Tagen weiterziehen, doch sie bleibt altbekannter Traum. Seitdem vernehme ich ihre süße Kunde, in allen Dingen wunderbar. Ich denke heimlich noch der blauen und weiß nicht, ob sie jemals war. Ihre Schönheit weht durch alle Zeiten, ihr roter Mund wird mich ewig begleiten. Ihre Schönheit weht durch alle Zeiten, ihr roter Mund wird mich ewig begleiten. Ihr roter Mund wird mich ewig begleiten. Ihre Schönheit weht durch alle Zeiten. Ihr roter Mund wird mich ewig